Time now to talk about a little bit of weather. You've probably heard the term atmospheric river, a type of storm that's pretty common during California winters. Scientists agree they are crucial for our water supply, but predicting them is a whole different challenge. Francella Perez joins us now to explain.
In the past, meteorologists relied on El Nino and La Nina to predict winter storm activity. But new research shows atmospheric rivers don't always follow those patterns. They don't play by the rules, they dance to their own tune. On January 2024, an atmospheric river storm system produced historic torrential downpours in a matter of a few hours, resulting in catastrophic flooding in the Choyas Creek area.
Water was rushing down here. It looked like the Mississippi River. It was awful.
I lost pretty much everything, so it was a really terrible experience.
Everything has got to be replaced.
I was in awe. I'd never seen anything like this before.
Now, what are atmospheric rivers? They are a natural phenomena that have always existed, just like hurricanes and tornadoes. Previously, they were known as a Pineapple Express, but that is just a flavor or a type. The new term is atmospheric river, which was introduced to the scientific world in 1997. Basically, they are massive rivers of moisture, but up in the sky, that can carry up to 27 times the amount of water flowing through the Mississippi River. That is amazing. Now, these giant bands of water vapor stretch thousands of miles across the Pacific Ocean, and on average, they're 200 to 400 miles wide. So what happens? Well, they get pushed in the atmosphere by the winds from the jet stream until they make landfall. Once that deep moisture interacts with the mountain ranges, that moisture gets forced up, it cools, and it condenses. The mountains act like a sponge, absorbing all that moisture and releasing it, which is what we call orographic lift. At the end, these atmospheric rivers can potentially produce heavy rainfall, and if it's cold enough, even snow. That precipitation is everything in drought-prone California, says Dr. Kalansky.
Understand how it can be applied for water management.
Scientists at UC San Diego's Scripps Institution of Oceanography.
Atmospheric rivers can bring up to about 50% of the annual rain precipitation, which is both rainfall and snow. And so we know how important that is, and whether or not California has a dry or wet year is often determined by a couple of very large storms. And so they can really help us in terms of the water supply and mitigating droughts or even preventing droughts.
Dr. Kalansky is not the only Scripps scientist working on atmospheric rivers. Rosa Luna Nino, a research meteorologist at Scripps Institution of Oceanography, has been digging through 70 years' worth of weather data. We often think El Nino means a wet winter and La Nina means a dry one. But her research shows it's not that simple. In 2024, she and her team found 7 El Nino years that were surprisingly dry and 4 La Nina years that ended up wetter than expected in the past decade, and causing NOAA's long-range winter forecasts to be wrong. Luna says we need a better way to predict atmospheric rivers because they don't always follow the El Nino or La Nina rules.
The problem is that atmospheric rivers happen on shorter timescales, and they are harder to predict more than 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Also, atmospheric rivers are not clearly influenced by El Nino or La Nina conditions. So an option to improve the seasonal precipitation forecast will be good to include both El Nino or La Nina conditions along with a short-term forecast of atmospheric river activity.